Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Self Awakened podcast. We're your hosts, Laura
and
and
Ladette.
and today we're going to be sharing some of our stories and being able to listen to our intuition when it's telling us when something's not right, when we don't feel safe. And Ladette's going to go ahead and get us started on our grounding activity for the day.
Yes. So we're going to do some affirmations just to kind of get settled into how we're feeling and just kind of ground a little bit in that way. So if you want, you could put your hand over your heart. I like to do that, but I'm going to do like here because, well, if you're watching the video, my mic is covering my heart right now. So we are going to say, I am safe. If you want to close your eyes and say that, you can have your eyes open, but we're just going to keep telling ourselves in this moment that we are safe. So you can say, I am safe, I am here, I am courageous, I am brave, I am okay where I am at. And whatever one is resonating with you, you can just keep telling yourself that. So I am safe, I am present, I am grounded, I am brave. Then you can sit with that as long as you need to. And we will begin. And I love affirmations because I think it's such a good way to like get settled into your body. It's such a good way to feel more calm. It's a really great way to kind of just remind yourself of your worth and what is your truth. I think it's easy to kind of be like in the midst of everything and kind of forget who you are. So affirmations are just such a nice way to like refocus and recenter. And that feels good, especially for I think what we're about to cover today. I'm like, okay, I needed that.
Yeah. And I think also it's so important for us to be intentional with pouring those loving words into ourselves because it's so easy, or at least I catch myself that it seems to be easier to say negative things to myself, things that I might not be doing right, but to be able to take the time to pour love into ourselves, to pour that good energy into ourselves because we deserve it. And it starts with us, babies.
Yes, yes. You got to say nice things to yourself. It starts with you, exactly. Um, so, yes, for our episode today, I think we're covering kind of something really personal, but I think something that a lot of people relate to. I'm happy to go first, Laura, or I don't know if you want to go. I think something that has been like really coming up for me is has to do with boundaries and like we're going to be so transparent in our podcast of like me and Loud are like by no means perfect, like we by no means have it all together. Like a lot of what we share is going to be kind of what we're experiencing as we're experiencing it and just being real and authentic in that way. And yeah, something for me that I know I sometimes struggle with is putting my foot down and being a little bit firm with certain people. I think that the boundaries are okay. Like I feel like I can set boundaries, but sometimes I notice that I sugarcoat them. So instead of just being like very firm and like, hey, no, I don't want to do that, it might be like a hey, no, and like a little bit almost timid about it. And I think that sometimes people take advantage of that and sometimes and sometimes they don't. I think also sometimes it's just that if you're not very clear on your boundary or whatever the case is, they might misunderstand you. And I feel like I'm definitely experiencing that now, like literally today. Um, I have personally been struggling a little bit with feeling a little bit uncomfortable in my current living situation. I'm not going to like put names or anything like that out there, but there's a person who I feel was not understanding kind of me saying no. And I think that, I don't know, I just feel like this, like to go out on dates and stuff like that. And I think that whether you're a woman or a man, like sometimes it's hard. I think that we find ourselves making kind of like that, like, oh no, I have a boyfriend. Like it's easy to kind of say certain things to like kind of get the point across, but then sometimes people don't get it. And it also brings up for me like why lie though? Like why do I have to lie? Like I should just be able to say, hey, not interested, and that be received the way that it is, and it hasn't been. And I think that I am really struggling with feeling comfortable where I live in my living situation now because there's someone that I feel like I have to avoid seeing because when I do, it's almost like a hey, can I go out with you? Like it doesn't stop. And it's just, yeah, in these situations, I'm really thinking about and reflecting. By the way, I'm moving. Originally I was gonna move the end of April, and I'm actually cutting my lease short and moving. It's like beginning of April when we're recording this, so I'm like moving almost 4 weeks in advance of when my lease ends. And I'm just thinking like, okay, what could have Ladette communicated better or more clearly? Because I do believe that what I'm experiencing is what I created. And it's not in a way, by the way, I think like we can have accountability, but not like be mad at ourselves, right? Like it's not like I did this to myself, but it's like, okay, what did I do on my end to kind of create this? And I definitely feel like I was too nice. And I think that you can be spiritual, you can be on your healing journey and be firm. Like we don't have to be nice all the time in our communication. We can say, hey, you are making me uncomfortable and I don't appreciate it. Like I don't appreciate the consistent asking me out because the answer is always going to be no. And I need you to respect that. Like, and I never said that. So I think this is really teaching me that maybe sometimes the best choice isn't being so polite in the communication and not being mean, but just being firm. Like, no, like the answer is no. I need you to respect that because now I'm in a situation where I'm like, I need to get out of here. Like, get me out of here. Like, I need to get, like, I'm so uncomfortable. So that's like what's mostly coming up for me.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was saying that, something that started to come up for me. I know in another episode, I kind of mentioned the concept of energetic boundaries as well. And I think that that's when it comes also beautifully aligned when are we saying it? Are we saying what we want to say, setting the boundary, but is our energy backing that up with that true
Mhm.
intention? Kind of saying it, but your energy is shaky, your energy is afraid because of how the other person might react, whatever the other person might say. But I feel like
Mhm.
people can really feel energy, even, more than the words themselves that we say. So being able to feel so grounded with your answer. And yeah, we don't always have to be, not that you get to be mean, but I think that
Yeah.
it's like, especially if you're like looking into that divine feminine energy, there's that dark energy that it has, right? And it's that savage part within you, as I've heard people say, that it's so rooted with the things that you know that you want, that you're not afraid to say them with firmness, because I feel like that brings so much power to you as well when it is that you're saying those things.
Mhm.
I'm just so proud of you for even honoring yourself and listening to her intuition, right? If she's not feeling safe, which it sucks, like we can only take responsibility for how it is that we co-created something. That doesn't mean it's all 100% just us, but we
Mhm.
can't force the other person to take whatever accountability they need to take, right? So to be able to honor yourself and be like, I don't feel safe here, and what do I need to do in order for me to feel safe, feel rooted, feel grounded, and feel like I'm okay, and you're not living in that survival mode.
Yes, I 100% agree. I think that, something for me that came up that I kind of want to address with this is that in these type of situations, I don't think that there's like oh, it's too late. Like I think that the conversation can still be had. Like it's okay to be like, okay, I haven't been firm, right? But I can still learn how to be firm because yes, like with that dark feminine energy, I think it's like you know your worth. I think that's where it comes from. It's like I know my worth and I'm going to communicate that to you. And even if that person takes it the wrong way, it's like that's on you kind of thing because it's like I'm not being rude. I know I'm not being disrespectful or anything. It's me honoring my feelings and that's all that it is. It's really just like honoring your feelings. And I feel like, yeah, something that kind of just came up is that I'm just thinking like, okay, because I was originally planning to move out of my apartments, but I'm thinking, okay, if I didn't move, right, like I'm moving back home, and if I was planning to renew my lease, what would this dynamic for me kind of look like, Because I think part of it is me now, like, just get me out of here. Like, I'm already uncomfortable, but it's like, okay, if I see this person, though, part of me is like, okay, I think that I still need to set that boundary because it doesn't matter that I'm not going to live here. I almost think it's important for me on behalf of others as well, on behalf of honoring myself, but honoring other people who live here who maybe is experiencing something similar of just like, hey, it makes me uncomfortable when you consistently ask me out, or when you consistently compliment me, or when you're consistently very like blatantly, checking me out, or whatever the case is, and just letting them know, because it's not justifying that person's behavior. But I think not everyone, unfortunately, has self-awareness and recognizes the things that they do that makes others uncomfortable. And I almost think it feels like a little bit of a responsibility to me to make them aware in case they are not aware, because maybe it's something that they can then look at within themselves of like, oh, am I making people who live here uncomfortable? Because that's not okay. So it just kind of feels like a little bit of a responsibility too, of not just for me, but for other people. And I think that that's important when you're looking at like boundaries or whatever it is, any conversation you're having with someone. If you're feeling uncomfortable, like, do it for you and have the conversation for you, but it could be really helpful to other people. And yeah, I think it's important to speak your truth. And I'm definitely learning that sometimes I can't be nice Ledette. And I choose to be her because she does not like confrontation, and she does not like arguing, and she doesn't like uncomfortable conversations sometimes. But it's like, I can very clearly see how choosing that path has kind of created this outcome that I'm experiencing now with this person. Whereas before, I think, and no regrets, like, this is no regrets. This is like the process of that reflection of like, okay, what could I have done to create a different outcome so that in the future I know what it is that I want to say, or how it is that I want to, go about maybe a similar situation. So yeah, thank you, Lara, because that's kind of making me think about, you know, how I co-created, because we are co-creators of what
Yeah.
we're experiencing. And yeah.
Yeah, I love that you said that not everyone has the self-awareness of knowing that maybe what he's doing is making you uncomfortable, right? Because we all have a different level of awareness, or maybe he just generally feels like me complimenting her is doing a nice gesture, or whatever it is that people sometimes don't realize. And then it is, all you can control is being able to let him know that that's something feel like is aligned for you, because you're saying, it's not just for you, it's for other people. You get to leave, but other people, other women will continue living there. And
Mm-hmm.
such a loving thing to do, bringing that to his awareness so that he knows. And whatever happens after that, you did your part, you did what you had to do, and you can't control how he reacts afterwards. And
Mm-hmm.
it definitely, I think, is important to be listening to our intuition, because as Lidette was sharing this with me, I kind of started to share a living situation that I used to have myself when I lived in my apartment, and an old apartment. And all of a sudden this guy started to look out, like be hanging out in his balcony and looking into my window,
Crazy.
waving at me as I'm cooking. And I'm like, this is my safe place, this is my sanctuary. I
Yeah.
don't want someone constantly, it was over and over, peeping over here. And when my a partner had confronted him, he was like, I'm just trying to say hi to you guys. But it's like, I don't know, it
Through
was
the
definitely,
window.
yes, through the window,
Like,
all the time. So I could definitely feel what Lidette was feeling, with feeling unsafe and not feeling comfortable there. And I remember I cut my leash short, because I was like, my priority is also being able to feel comfortable and taking ourselves out of that survival mode, right? Like, I don't constantly want to feel like I'm watching my back, I'm watching my every move. Like, is someone watching me? Can something happen to me at any moment? And being able to honor whatever feeling our intuition comes up. Our intuition is constantly speaking to us, and if we're able to quiet our minds and just really listen, how is my body reacting to this thing? It can tell us a lot with situations or with people. I know that there's been people where my intuition is generally like, no, like, this person is not in alignment with you. And I feel like I've always been pretty good at, you know what, I'm just not even gonna try to fake like I'm gonna be making a relationship with this person. And then things end up coming up about, yeah, maybe that's why my intuition was telling me those things about that person. And even, with partners, we sometimes, how they say girls, like, they see things in a dream, or they can intuitively just randomly know that something's happening, because their intuition is constantly telling us, like, this is happening. And if we can just quiet our minds enough, and not only that, but trust ourselves with whatever feeling it is that's actually coming up, I feel like it can bring us such a long way.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I like I feel like this is so important, of like paying attention to your body and like listening to your intuition. And even if you're someone who's like, how do I know that's my intuition? It's, when it is, because you won't even ask yourself that. If you're feeling something, like for me, it always is like a knot, like, and I think this is similar for a lot of us, but it's like a literal knot in my stomach. I get chills, or my body just feels achy around someone. Little things like that is your intuition. It might be like whispers, like you might feel like you just get a random thought and it's like, wait, this didn't feel like my voice. Like, how like sometimes you think things and it's like, it's your voice, but like if it's a whisper, divine whisper, it's like it feels like it came from something else. And so things like that, and honoring that. And yeah, I just can 100% relate, because as loud as talking about knowing things and like having your intuition and feeling like uncomfortable around certain people, those are definitely feelings that I have felt the last couple months of being in the apartment that I'm in and living here, of just like feeling like, even hearing like, this is odd, like little things like that, that's odd, or like, why did he say that, or like just things like that, where it's like, it's odd because it is, it feels weird because it is weird, it's not feeling good to me because I'm communicating X, Y, and Z, but this is what I'm experiencing nonetheless. And yeah, I just feel like really listening to your intuition is important, because it's gonna tell you who you should be around or not. If you're feeling weird, achy, anxious, then that's probably not someone that you need to be around. And there was something else you said, and now I'm losing my train of thought, Lara, but there was something that was so good. What did she say? You made a really good point. Well, you make lots of really good points. That's why I'm like, this girl, she just speaks life into me.
Thank you. Love talking to you. I
I
really
love
do.
talking to you too. I'm like, I always feel so much better talking to you. I'm like, but I don't know. I think it was with just like feeling unsafe. Oh, I remembered, is that I really admire you for breaking your lease and like not telling yourself that you had to stick it out, because I think that it's easy for us to be like, oh, well, I signed a 12-month lease, not going to move out until it ends, or whatever the case is, because of like the standards or whatever rules and like regulations are around it. But it's like, fuck no, sorry. Like, if I feel uncomfortable, at the end of the day, your safety is more important than anything else. And it's like, to be able to say, you know what, I am good here. Like, forget this. Like, I don't feel comfortable. I admire that, because I think it just shows a perfect example of listening to your intuition and honoring how you feel. And I just admire that. I think that's amazing. Like, because
I recently heard something from one of our favorite people that we listen to, Alexis, and she kind of said, what does our self, what does our peace cost to us? Are we willing to stay? Are we willing to put limits? And I remember that fear coming up for me of, oh my God, it's going to cost me so much more to put a deposit. I'm going to have to pay this last month's rent of this apartment, then the cost of breaking the lease and all of these negative things. And then, but to be like, it doesn't matter, because my peace is worth more. My peace, my safe matters to me more than whatever stress that might be, because I know that it's going to work out, and I know that I'm going to be okay. This is going to be a temporary thing compared to whatever other months I'm going to be putting myself through, constantly feeling like I have to go looking over my shoulder, like I can't wear what I want around my house because someone might be peeping through the window. And it's been so many times where, what is the peace? What is the life that you want worth having to you? What is, Lidette and I took some retreats last year, and even that was a really big thing, guys, because I knew in my soul I wanted to go to this retreat, but then the fear started to come up, like a lot at that point. I had lost like a job, and I was just getting back on my feet after a breakup, and I remember being like, I can't do this right now, but my soul was literally, my soul was being called to be there, like I could feel it in every cell in my body, and like that said, these divine whispers that kept telling me, you're supposed to be there. I kept asking for a sign, and that specific sign kept coming up. And I remember at that retreat, I missed the first day I was at work, and I kept seeing the stories, and I was like, I am meant to be there. I left my shift early. I bought the tickets all last minute, by the way. I remember some family telling me, no, like, how's that costing you? It's so last minute. And I was like, it doesn't matter, because I am worth that. I am worth me going. And I feel like that definitely broke a paradigm in itself of my peace, my growth, my love for myself is worth more for me than whatever cost it might be costing me right now. Like, that's worth more to me right now.
Girl, love that, because it's such a great way to, I think, ask that question, like, how much does my peace mean to me? How much does my happiness mean to me? And what am I willing to, like, what lengths am I willing to go to make these certain things happen? And I know that we're talking like about like safety and whatnot, but I also think like there, I think me and Laura both have a really good example of this too, because last year when we met, we both were like, we're gonna go live in San Diego together and it's gonna be amazing. And I just know one of these days, like we are gonna do something like that, or maybe we're gonna vacation somewhere for like a month together, whatever the case is. I have no doubts. Or maybe we'll go live somewhere else together. But I think we both kind of came to terms that like, okay, if we do move, we can make it work because we believe in ourselves and our ability to, wherever we go, make our circumstances work. But we both felt like mutually, before we even talked about it, that we both feel like financially the most loving thing that we can do for ourselves is stay where we are for now. You know, and that one of the reasons why I'm moving back home is because I know that I can get my finances like just so good, so on point living at home, and be able to pay off my credit card debt and not have like that bondage with that money, feeling like I'm just paying for something that's never getting paid off. And so I think even asking yourself questions like what Laura said of like, what does my peace and happiness mean to me? Because for me, what came up was, you know what? Part of my peace and happiness is not feeling so tied down and weighed down by money. And if I want to get my money under control, the best thing, the most loving thing I can do right now is move home. So I do really feel like asking yourself that question, it's powerful and it goes such a long way, because it's like, okay, like what can I do to create this happiness that I want for myself? What can I do to improve my current outcome? And am I willing to go that far to help myself out? And yeah, I just think it's such a good question to ask and like really sit with yourself on, because I feel like a lot comes up for me, you know. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm like, all right, let's get it. Let's get these finances together. Okay, 2024 for all of us. The money's gonna look good.
Because you know, talking about safety, like when you're in so much debt, I feel like you're in this survival mode and you don't feel safe and you don't feel at peace, because it's that energetic bondage that's holding you down, that little reminder that, yeah, we decided we need to feel at peace more. And if we make that move, like I know for me last year, I had made some really bad financial decisions as well. Not bad, I don't regret them, but they put me in a situation that I didn't feel, it had me feeling in survival mode, guys, straight up survival mode. And it was not okay. I felt constantly like this unease in my body. And to be able to be like, this means that for now, my main focus is getting rid of that debt so that later on, like when I do get to move, I don't have any sort of energetic thing holding me this weight down of whatever I might worry. I get to just fully express it. And I feel like sometimes what does in this moment, the most loving thing that for myself that I can do that will bring me peace, that will bring me ease where it is that I'm at. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be forever, right? Constantly, it could be that in 3 months changes, and constantly asking ourselves, or what can I do now, or what decisions can I make now that will bring me more peace in my life? And I think that peace is definitely an internal thing, right? Like that, even if we do have this energetic bondage of debt, like how am I finding the peace to be present in the moment and to enjoy things? It just definitely makes it a little bit more rocky for you to focus on those things.
Yeah.
Be able to even then take it a step further and be like, what is this trying to teach me? How do I not find worth in those things? And remind myself that that doesn't deteriorate, like lower my worth. It doesn't make me any less of a person. I still am worthy of being at peace. I'm still worthy of being present here and experiencing things for
Yeah.
what.
I love that. Yeah, I feel like sometimes it's hard to kind of let go a little bit of like the timeline, but I think when you can kind of get yourself to just try to, as much as you can, like focus on this moment, I think it makes it a little bit more rewarding and easier to just be like, okay, I know whether it's a year from now or 3 months from now, like it's gonna be fine. It's gonna all work out, best case scenario, and just being okay with that. And yeah, because for me, definitely what comes up is like, man, sometimes I think about this, like, am I gonna have to be at home for a year or two? Because I'm not only trying to pay my debt off, I'm just gonna like rack up the savings as well. You know, like
Yeah,
we have a couple financial goals, and it's like I recognize that that's gonna take time, and sometimes I get carried away in the midst of how long it's gonna take when I know deep down the focus should be the type of life I'm creating for myself, regardless. Like, I know that I'm setting myself up. Future me is going to be so grateful and so thankful, and just making it about that. Like, it doesn't have to be about the timeline, more so I know that this is going to be so rewarding. One of these days, whatever it is, I'm going to look back like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I did this. And so just making that the focus of like, I know that this is meaningful and it's going to be so worth something. And that's it. And like leaving it at that. So yeah, letting go of the timeline. It's hard because like we want instant gratification and like we want things now, but just being okay with like, it's okay. It's okay.
Exactly where I'm meant to be, what
Yes.
are here for me to learn to be able to go to the next level in my
Yes.
life. It's part of my journey.
I love that. I love that. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that's a good place. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
here. It's good. Like, we're good. Period.
Yeah, we're good. For the moment, I think that's where we can end off. Do the things that
Yes.
make you feel safe. Listen to your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Follow your heart. Just listen to your heart and your
Love
intuition.
that.
Trust
Love that. Be
trust
present. It's all good.
quiet the minds, and it takes time, and you do again and again, and you start to be able to listen to your heart and your intuition.
Yes, I love it. So beautiful. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love you. We'll see you in the next one.
See you in 2 weeks. Have a beautiful day.
Yes, bye.